Minister Hulusi Akar, Defense Minister of Turkey, thank you so much for joining us at HFX 2020.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pity we can't meet in person, but such are the times we live in. And I remember talking to you, was it a couple of years ago, at Halifax itself?
True, yes.
Yes. Minister, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in the United States of America from where I'm talking to you in the heart of Washington, D.C., in fact, right next to the White House. Relations between the United States and Turkey have been tested over several issues in recent years. How do you see the evolution of relations between the United States and Turkey with the incoming United States administration of President-elect Biden?
Robin, thank you. Thank you very much. And then, by the way, taking this opportunity, the distinguished participants, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all, and then the greetings from Ankara Ministry of Defense. And it is once again a great privilege to address such a distinguished audience. I would like to warmly thank Peter Van Tra and the forum for the invitation to this world-class event, where current and the future security challenges are addressed. Taking this opportunity, especially on the note, I would also like to extend my greetings to Minister Harjit, great personality over there, and to Mrs. Cindy McCain, and respectfully recall the memory of the Senator John McCain. Now answering the question, I'm trying to answer your question. Turkey and the United States have deep-rooted and long-standing strategic relations. We have been steadfast allies for almost 70 years, as you know. We have, of course, the ups and downs in these relations, as in the other countries, and the occasional sharp differences of opinion. But let's not forget that we have a long tradition of cooperation and overcoming challenges through dialogue between the two countries. In Korea, for instance, Somalia, the Balkans, Afghanistan, and in the other geographies worldwide, we have worked very closely together, shoulder to shoulder. And much of our daily successful cooperation on a wide and common agenda goes unnoticed, while differences are sometimes highlighted, unfortunately. Sometimes perceptions can overshadow reality, causing misperceptions. So we must avoid this. This is a very important issue. Our militaries, for instance, conduct exercises at air, land, and sea, in addition to the operations and the common activities in any corner of the world. As a recent example, for instance, we supported the U.S. Bomber Task Force missions over Europe and the Black Sea just a few days ago. We believe that the current challenges at the regional and the global level require that we further enhance and strengthen our bilateral relations as well as the transatlantic ties. We wish to work closely. We wish to work closely with our counterparts, of course, also in the new U.S. administration, the minister to minister, military to military, and we are for that unit cooperation coordination. It is no secret that certain issues cast a shadow on the Turkish-American alliance. For example, the procurement of the S-400 emerged as a big issue, unfortunately. In this issue, please consider that our only goal is to provide air and missile defense for 83 million Turkish citizens and our country. That's it. It's so simple. And we reached this point after a long, open, and transparent procurement process. What else could we do? Furthermore, the security of the F-35's technology is certainly just as vital for Turkey as it is for the United States. So please reconsider these are the issues, these are the points. We know that the United States had some concerns, and our offer to address these concerns is still on the table. In any case, We must avoid the language of the threats and the sanctions, which is not an appropriate means to address differences among almost 70-year-old allies. Turkey plays an indispensable part in the destiny of a wide region, including in the transatlantic area. Please remember, Turkey's resolute stance on many issues helps to deter adversaries and, of course, specifically terrorists. I believe that the United States as a global power, all of us know aware of this, and the Turkey as a regional power can continue to complement each other for the benefit of our nations and the whole region, maybe the whole world. In conclusion, I believe that the ties of alliance based on our shared values and enduring long-term common interests will continue to provide vital contributions to peace and security.
Minister, Turkey not only has a long-standing, very important bilateral relationship with the United States, Turkey is also a member of NATO, and it occupies a fundamentally important part in NATO's architecture. I mean, all you have to do is look at the map, frankly, to see how important Turkey is. And yet there have, of course, been difficulties between different NATO members. The Mediterranean is a difficult place. There are lots of old rivalries going on. Have recent developments affected Turkey's perspective on NATO?
Robin, thank you. This is another important question from time to time we are facing. And we are trying to explain our counterpart, our colleagues, friends, as the most successful alliance in history, first of all. We firmly believe NATO is as active and vibrant as ever. Number one. Number two, continues to successfully adapt and counter diverse threats currently. As a NATO ally for almost 7 decades, Turkey has made essential contributions to Euro-Atlantic security. The alliance is the cornerstone of our defense and security policy as well. Turkey is among the top 5 troop contributors to NATO missions and operations. Everyone knows this. And among the top 8 contributors in financial terms too. In an alliance of the 30 nations, different views and the approaches are quite normal. The strength of NATO lies in its ability to overcome differences. Turkey is at the core of NATO, no doubt, sharing all its values and burdens, and plus fulfilling all its responsibilities in operation and exercises, whatever needed. In addition to dealing with the regional crises, fighting terrorist groups, and contributing to NATO's missions. We are also protecting the borders of NATO and Europe. Remember, our borders at the same time, the borders of the NATO and Europe. This is a heavy burden. I believe you will appreciate it. Turkey's priority is always to address all challenges, first and foremost, in solidarity and cooperation with its allies. Finally, we only seek solidarity, cooperation, and the understanding from our allies in an objective and impartial manner. This is all what we are requesting from our allied countries.
Minister, you've obviously seen the recent terrible events in France with the beheadings, with the terrorist problem that exists all over Europe, and it exists all over the world, frankly. Turkey has also suffered terribly from terrorism, and you're right on the border, of course, of the region in which a lot of that terrorism actually arises. What is the latest situation in Turkey regarding terrorism? I mean, are you at a state of alert, or are you always at a state of alert? I mean, just give a sense of how you have to be prepared for terrorist attacks in Turkey.
Yes, when we look at around in general, we are fighting against terrorism in any corner of around Turkey, around one country. As you see, the current security environment is more unstable, and unpredictable than ever in our region, unfortunately. We are particularly concerned that the terrorist organizations continue to take advantage of the power vacuums and the disorders around in the geography around Turkey. Today, we are conducting a relentless struggle against Daesh, also known as ISIS, the PKK-YPG, as well as the Gülenist terrorist organization. Now, it is very important from the top down. We are fighting against them in many cases. So we are very much engaged in all our armies, engaged in fighting against them. The PKK, number one issue, is a separatist terrorist organization which is responsible for the deaths of the 40,000 innocent people of Turkey. So the PKK is on the list of the terrorist organizations. Please note, as I said to my colleagues on many occasions, the YPG is the Syrian branch of the PKK. This is very important. And then we are experiencing a big difficulty in convincing, in explaining the situation, this reality to our dear friends. This is a key issue. The YPG, PKK engaged in every type of malign and the oppressive activity. Unfortunately, some refer to this terror group as the Kurds. The Kurds. This is completely incorrect. In fact, the YPG is the biggest oppressor of Kurds. To associate it with the Kurds is the biggest insult to ordinary Kurdish people. This is not from the books, but in practice. They are not meeting with many Kurds, innocent, regular Kurdish people. This is what they are saying. Just as Daesh does not represent Muslims, the PKK, YPG does not represent the Kurds. Speaking of Daesh, let me first underline that Turkey has been at the forefront in the fight against the vicious terrorist organization. We have actively participated in coalition efforts against Daesh and have paid a heavy price. This is why Daesh attacked Turkey and caused the loss of almost 600 innocent Turkish citizens. I should emphasize that the Turkish armed forces is the only, this is very important, only allied army to fight Daesh hand to hand. The rest of them are fighting by air. As you know, Turkey alone has neutralized almost 4,000 of the most radical Daesh militants both in Syria and Iraq. Despite this fact, we have unfortunately witnessed manipulative claims and disinformation against one country. This is unfair. In addition, we prevented the entrance of the thousands of the foreign terrorist fighters to Turkey and extradited thousands of them from my country. FETÖ, the Gülenist terrorist organization, is also one of the most serious threats to Turkey. This is a clandestine, criminal, and the terrorist organization, which is without the precedent in terms of its global reach, ambitions, and the methods. To understand the security threat posed by the terrorist organization, it is enough to look at the 15th July coup attempt, failed coup attempt in Turkey. During this attempt, FETÖ, this terrorist organization, killed 251 Turkish citizens and wounded more than 2,000.
Syria is not an easy place to navigate, and obviously, as you've pointed out, you're right on the front line. What is the Turkish approach to the regime of Bashar al-Assad? I mean, does this regime have to go? If so, what would replace it? I mean, it's very easy sitting in Washington, D.C. or London to just create some sort of blueprint for Syria. You're right on the border with Syria. What is your approach to the future of Syria?
Because the Syrian crisis has become the bloodiest conflict, for your information, in the region since World War II. We have embraced millions of Syrians, on the other hand, and Iraqi refugees, regardless of their ethnicity or faith, including Yazidis, Arabs, Christians, Assyrians, and many others. This is very important, and this should be known by everybody. We have prevented humanitarian tragedies and separatist aims. Over the last 4 years, we had to conduct for operations in the north of Syria, our aims were, this is very important again, to protect our borders and citizens, to eliminate the threat of terrorism, to stop irregular migration, and to establish a safe zone for the displaced Syrians. As our President Erdogan stressed many times, we will not allow the terrorist organization, the PKK, PYD, YPG, to establish a terror corridor along our borders. This is a very important issue. As you know, we are hosting around 3.6 million Syrians in Turkey and providing aid and assistance to a further 4 million internally displaced persons, IDP, inside Syria. This is a considerable burden for Turkey on behalf of Europe and the international community. In Idlib, now still we are fighting over there to stop all those undesired developments. In Idlib, the ceasefire declared with Turkey's efforts in March has greatly reduced the violence currently. However, we should be very cautious of the serious potential for the further regime attacks, which could cause massive flows of refugees to Turkey and beyond. As a result of Turkey's extensive efforts and assistance to help normalize life, a huge humanitarian crisis has been prevented. Sure. And over 1 million people have returned safely, voluntarily, and in a dignified manner, as stated in the United Nations documents, to their lands and their homes. We firmly support the UN-led political process. Ultimately, we wish to see a stable, democratic, politically and territorially united Syria as our neighbor. This is what we are trying to do with our activities. That's all I can tell you.
Minister, the region you live in is fraught with difficulties, and the whole Mediterranean region. I wanted to turn to Libya right now, and it's extraordinary what has been going on in Libya, where Turkey has essentially been on the side of the United Nations posture, and yet other countries, including fellow NATO members like France, have taken a different position. I mean, the events in Libya have reached a new stage with the UN-led dialogue. What is Turkey's perspective right now on Libya?
Yeah, Robin, thank you. Thank you for this question. This is very simple the answer. The preservation of the sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the political unity of Libya are our guiding principles, number one. And we support the UN-recognized legitimate government of Libya, the government of the National Accord, GNA. After the forces intensified their attacks on Tripoli in 2019, the head of GNA asked for support from 5 countries. Turkey was the only nation to respond positively to this request. We are providing train, assist, and the advice support to the government of Libya based on this invitation and our bilateral agreement. Remember, Haftar's forces, supported by mercenary groups, have indiscriminately shelled hospitals, ports, airports, schools, embassies, residential areas, and medical supply depots. They cut off the water and the power supply of Tripoli as well, even during the COVID-19 pandemic. As part of our humanitarian assistance, we are running a hospital, clearing landmines and IEDs led by Haftar's forces. The mass graves, also discovered after Haftar's forces withdrew, are evidence of crimes against humanity. Turkey prevented further humanitarian tragedies by responding to the call of the legitimate Libyan government. Please note, by the end of March, the GNA started a counter-offensive operation, and its strong resistance against the Haftar prevented further chaos. This provided a valuable window of opportunity for a peaceful resolution. Haftar and his foreign supporters must not be allowed to spoil this opportunity. In order to achieve peaceful resolution, we support UN-led peace efforts. In the end, that I can tell you, in both Syria and Libya, Turkey has been the country that prevented new humanitarian tragedies and further refugee flows. We fight against them for the benefit of Turkey, but at the same time for the benefit of the allied countries as well.
Thank you, Minister. Finally, let's spin back to the Eastern Mediterranean. As I said, there's barely a dull moment in your part of the world. What is Turkey's approach to the Eastern Mediterranean? I mean, there are all sorts of different issues going on at once. What are your expectations? What are the outcomes in that part of the world?
There are, unfortunately, a number of disputes in the Eastern Mediterranean and in the Aegean Sea. The core of these disputes are the excessive claims by the Greek government and the Greek Cypriot administration. And then we have to know this first. They violate the sovereign rights of both Turkey and the Turkish Cypriots is another important issue. For example, in the Aegean Sea, the Greek government has violated international agreements. It is very clear by undermining the demilitarized status of the islands. Very important. They violate it. It is open. Everyone knows this. Furthermore, they claim territorial waters of 6 miles, but their airspace claim is for 10 miles. This is a one-of-a-kind approach and is only asserted by the Greek government in the world. There is no example. There's not an example. This is also the pretext of their allegations for the so-called airspace violations. In fact, it is not just Turkey that recognizes these inconsistencies. Some countries also indicate them. No need to tell their name. Keep in mind, Turkey has the longest coastline in the Eastern Mediterranean, almost 2,000 kilometers. However, they are trying to confine Turkey strictly to her coasts. Furthermore, the Greek government claims continental shelf area of 40,000 square kilometers for a 10 square kilometers island. Unbelievable. This island is about 600 kilometers away from the Greek mainland, but is only 2 kilometers away from Turkey, 1,950 meters away from Turkey. It is obvious that such claims are not realistic, not fair, or not acceptable. As a matter of fact, both the United States and the EU state that the map used by the Greek government for her claims has no legal value. I must emphasize, Turkey has no intention of violating any country's legitimate rights, interests, or borders. However, Turkey will naturally stand firm against attempts to harm her rights and interests, and those of the Turkish Cypriots. Indeed, we have been very patient. We waited for more than a decade to start seismic research activities in the continental shelf that we had registered. This is important. That we had registered in 2004 with the United Nations. Despite the differences, we are in favor of resolving all the outstanding problems with Greece through international law, good neighborly relations, mutual goodwill, respect, dialogue, and negotiation, whatever needed. We are ready. This is why we welcome NATO's deconfliction mechanism and Germany's diplomatic initiatives. We conducted 3 meetings for confidence building measures, and we have sent an invitation to our Greek colleagues to host the 4th meeting in Ankara. We are ready. If they can come, tomorrow we are ready to host them here in Ankara. The exploratory talks, the call for the equitable revenue sharing on the island of Cyprus, and the idea of a regional conference on the Eastern Mediterranean are all concrete proposals that we have made. We are ready for a substantive dialogue with Greece on all the outstanding issues without any preconditions. No preconditions. For its part, Turkey has repeatedly shown her goodwill with diplomatic initiatives. All we are asking from our friends and allies is to look at the Greece's claims and their practices in the light of logical and objective criteria. without bias or prejudice, and to compare them to Turkey's legitimate, reasonable, and the common sense approach. Please do it. Thank you.
Minister Hulusi Akar, of National Defense Minister of Turkey, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.